Hey, what's up, fellow Hoosiers? Rhett Lewis here of NFL Network and the Indiana Football Radio broadcast. Back here with you for episode number 2 of Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, a proud sponsor of IU Football. Visit your local Central Indiana Ford dealer today. First off, man, I just want to say thank you to all you Hoosiers out there that were able to pack the Rock on Saturday. Man, it got loud. You guys stood proud for your Hoosiers, and I know that everybody inside the building certainly appreciates what you did out there for us. Awesome atmosphere inside Memorial Stadium to kick off this season. Need you back there on Friday night against Indiana State as we look to pound out that first W of this season. So there's plenty to feel proud about. I sure feel like about the way our Hoosiers played on Saturday, despite falling short in that final score against Ohio State. And I think a lot of those good vibes really emanate from the defensive side of the ball, where they held a very explosive and talented offense in check for much of the day. And one of the co-authors of what was a terrific defensive plan, first-year co-coordinator and play caller on the defensive side of the ball for IU, is our esteemed guest today. Welcome, Coach Matt Guerrieri. Coach G, certainly appreciate you taking a few minutes out of your busy schedule here in a short week to spend some time with us. Thanks for being here.
Thanks, Rhett. Honored to be on here with you.
Well, you are falling right in line with Coach Allen. You're rocking the voice, and I know it's tough, and you guys have been out there working hard all month of August and now into September, and so I know that takes a toll on you. So we won't try to use too much of it here for you. And look, I think, we all know that when it comes down to it, results are the only thing that matter on game day, right? Wins and losses. Right. And we didn't get the dub, and I know we didn't achieve that desired result. But I did want to get your thoughts, though, on your first game day experience at the Rock, at Memorial Stadium, kind of get the sense of what the vibe was like and just how you kind of took that all in.
Yeah, it's a great experience. It's a great place. Facility is awesome. It is even better people. I'm very appreciative of all the Hoosiers that came out to support. I mean, it doesn't happen without great fans, and it means a lot to our team. It means a lot to our staff, and hopefully that can continue.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, when we get into the game here, I know limiting explosive plays is always going to be a priority, and especially with a group, wide receiver and look in the run game too, that are so dang good, and felt like for the most part, you guys were able to do that. How did you kind of assess the way that the game plan, that you guys wanted to execute it going in, and then ultimately how it was executed coming out?
For sure. First to me always is what's the effort? Yeah. And I was pleased with the effort. I was pleased with the physicality. We challenged our guys from the first day of spring ball throughout camp. What's our mentality going to be like? And then second is, okay, what's the game plan? How do you try to take away what a team does best? And I thought our guys had a good understanding of that plan. Were the details perfect? Was the execution perfect? No. And that's where we can get better from that standpoint to perform at our highest level and win those games.
Yeah, definitely. I kind of want to start with the group that you spend a lot of time with, in that safety group that you're in charge of on the defensive side of the ball. Because, man, I came away really impressed. Again, talked about not letting guys get behind you, is an important piece of this thing, whether it was Lou Moore, Philip Dunham, Josh Sanguinetti, and everybody that played a role back there. And it just felt like, in run support, sticking your nose in there and making some important tackles when they had to, and then keeping that talented wide receiver core, in check for much of this game. What was your thought about how your group played?
I was pleased with those guys. Safeties have a hard job, right? You've got to stay top down in the pass game and do a great job of limiting explosives in the throw game. You're the last line of defense. Any explosive that happens is essentially your fault. A run that breaks through, you have a chance to down, or a pass, unless it's just a, one-on-one on the outside on a corner or something like that, right? So that's I say all the time, we have an S on our chest now for Superman, for safety. That's your job, right? To down the ball. So I thought our guys did a good job of playing top-down coverage, and then did a good job of showing up in the run game and tackling, especially for an opening game against a talented opponent. I thought we did a good job of downing the football. Again, not perfect, plenty to coach, but pleased with their effort.
And I think, a lot of us, that watched, IU closely last year, got to know Josh Sanguinetti a lot. And in the last couple of years, really. And then we were introduced to Philip Dunham at times last year. I think maybe more so, people are really starting to get introduced to Lewis Moore, maybe for the first time on Saturday, really, outside of some of those splash plays he had a year ago, like at Nebraska on that strip sack. But the way that he was able, I felt like, to be aggressive in the run game and still providing some of that pass defense that you're talking about. His skill set seems really varied and valuable within the scheme of this defense.
It is. It's big time. He has coverage skills. He really played more of the Husky position in the past, right? Which has some, coverage qualities to it from that standpoint. And then he has physicality in the run game. He'll go mix it up. And then his background's really wide receiver. So, when you looked at him as a JUCO player at times, wide receiver, transitioning to defense, now he's got really good ball skills, right? So from a coverage standpoint, that's unique to be able to have coverage skills plus the ball skills of an offensive player in his past, and then physicality too, So to me, he showed what he's been doing since he's been here.
Yeah, no doubt. And so I was really impressed with that group. And then just kind of staying in the secondary, Coach Shelby's group, I thought, man, what a huge challenge they had. And first time for a couple of those guys like Nick Toomer getting the start. Loved his length out there and his experience, coming in from Stanford. And then the other side, there was Kobe Minor, Jamari Sharp, all those guys rotating in. I just come away really encouraged with some moments to build on. Is that your feeling moving forward here with that group?
For sure. And they competed. And that's the challenge for, any good defensive back group has mentality and outcompetes opponents, right? Take the talent out of it. Everybody's talented, right? You say, okay, what's the mentality? How do you compete? Go look at the best players in the NFL. They outcompete guys down the field, and being confident, and that's earned through practice, but just competing, that was the biggest thing. We challenged them to compete, and they did that.
All right, so as we work our way down here, man, it's the second level of the defense with those linebackers, whether it was, Ace and JMF for a majority of the time, or Jared Casey, Matt Holt, getting the reps in there as well. But particularly when Ace and JMF were together, first time for them in a game situation, but it felt pretty comfortable watching that unfold. How did you see those two guys kind of play off one another and help make a couple of big stops in this game?
They did a really good job. Ace played fast. He was flying around, physical. He has a really good understanding of what we're asking him to do, and he's able to pin his ears back and go play fast. And that was JMF's, first live bullets with us. Obviously, he's played at Stanford before, but it was really good to see him, play big and physical. He's a big guy who has, athleticism and physicality, and that was our challenge, to play big and physical. And I think both those guys, stepped up to the plate for sure.
Yeah, and I'll get back to Ace here in a second with a couple of plays that were just awesome to watch from the booth. But getting up front, and I think we all know, that this on the defensive side of the ball certainly got to start up front with those guys. And so much, hype, and we were so excited, I guess, is maybe the better way, anticipation to see number one, to see Andre Carter out there for the first time as a Hoosier. He delivered. He delivered, and going back and watching some of the disruption that he had in this game, it kind of felt that way when I was watching it live, and then to see it come out on tape and some of what I was able to see after the game, man, that was some fun stuff to watch. That's a dude that's going to be playing on Sundays here at some point, but I'm glad we got at least 11 more Saturdays with him, and a Friday this week, I suppose. Sure. How did you judge his impact, right, on the overall defense from what he's able to do?
He has a big impact, and we've got a lot of new faces. Some are battle tested, some aren't. He is one. He's been able to produce at a high level throughout his college career. He's had a number of havoc plays, as we would call them, right? TFLs or sacks, and that continued. You saw that, so that's something that he's done, and we work hard schematically to try to put him in the best position to be disruptive. And it's his job to have a great attitude and effort, and he's done exactly that.
Yeah, no question. I think the interior guys, maybe don't get as much credit, they're not necessarily as flashy. And I know you rotate a lot of guys through there, but man, Philip Bleedy, coming over from Texas Tech, just feels like a guy that, blocks, but man, can disrupt some stuff too on the interior. Again, another new face to this defense, but a guy that fits right in. For sure. He's a grown man. You got to be careful shaking his hand sometimes. When he comes to the meeting room, I give him a fist pound and stay out of the way. He's a grown man, and he can disrupt inside. And another guy that's so bought in and just a great young man. Yeah, definitely. Want to get to just a couple, and I'll do my best to hit the specifics of the plays. That I know you probably got a million things running through your mind right here. But I wanted to start in the first half on the blitz from JMF that almost was a fumble. right? And I think if that was called a fumble on the field, that'd have been a hard one to overturn.
I agree.
But it was called incomplete. Now, look, I thought that was terrific awareness, from a player that's seen a lot of ball to not only secure the sack, but to come for the football as well. And I know that that's something you guys work on in those turnover circuits, each and every week. And to see that come to fruition in a game situation, it's got to be pretty rewarding.
We call that a tomahawk. And every guy in our defense can tell you the exact drill that we rep. We drilled it last week. We've been drilling it all spring and fall. So you love that as a coach when the drills translate to the games and the player says, okay, hey, I've done this before. And in real time, he applies it. So proud of him for being able to do that. And credit to Chad Wild, who designs our takeaway circuits, to be able to design that and have one of his players in that exact situation.
That was awesome. He was absolutely ready for it. Can't wait to see more of that, getting after the quarterback there, whether it's up front or from the second level for sure. So getting back to Andre Carter here, I think second half here, when he shoots the gap and makes that TFL, that big one, right, on Devin Brown, the quarterback. Maybe that ended up being first half. Does that start with preparation and recognition, and then he's able to let his natural explosiveness take over?
That's right. Yeah, it's knowing what to do, believing in the system, having trust in each other, right? 11 pieces functioning as one, and then just going to play as hard as you possibly can. I tell the guys every game day, your mistakes belong to me. If you're not ready by the time, the lights are on, then that's my fault as a coach. They own their attitude and effort, and so he's done a great job of understanding, hey, this is what I was supposed to do on this play. He goes and executes it. He plays hard, and it's a big time TFL and third down stop.
And look, I think I could pick any number of plays that Ace made in this game, just shooting through and finding the running back in a couple of TFLs there. The one that I'm thinking of in particular, the Ohio State offense, I think working towards the south end zone. And, he comes around LD Cox and is able to shoot through and make a tackle for loss there. And LD looks like he's taken two guys up at that time. And that's, to me, that's complimentary, right? That's understanding, those big guys up front, they don't get a lot of the credit, but man, they make it possible for guys like Ace to get through there and get some of that credit. And I know that's a thing that works hand in hand there.
For sure. They're running a stretch play into the boundary. And LD does a great job of holding his gap, and he's taking two bodies, and anytime that happens, then our run through from there should either pull the double apart or you can have a free clean TFL, right? And if it pulls it apart, then LD should make the tackle. If not, it's Ace clean in the backfield. So it's those guys, again, knowing where each other are going to be, and you're able to play fast.
Yeah, it's so much fun to watch that all kind of come together. Back to Andre Carter here for just a second, because I don't know how many times you're going to send it back in coverage. But that pass deflection in the third quarter, I don't know if it, what the play design was there, but what kind of comes to mind is something I talked about with Coach Wilt a little bit, which is the ball finds energy. Right. And the fact that he didn't even see, but knows enough to get his hands up and to get a piece of that football on a big, incompletion at that point, again, comes back to understanding, trusting the system, understanding, knowing your technique, knowing what's expected of you and making a play, right?
That's right. That we thought we were getting slants, inside breakers on that third and intermediate. So we actually blitzed the backers and dropped those guys. Normally he's obviously a pass rusher, but to be able to have the flexibility to do that and pop guys into windows that the quarterback might not think, so he was in that window. If he had his head around it, probably would have hit him in the chest. But he was in the right spot.
That was great. And again, I think that comes back to, you guys, the defensive staff too, you and Chad and Coach Allen and everybody, that's involved there, just kind of creating looks to help make the picture a little bit cloudy, for a young quarterback, which was really fun to watch a lot of different times. I want to go down to a play down on the goal line in the south end zone where Nick Toomer, I think it was either Nick or I think it was Kobe Minor actually, was following Marvin Harrison across the field. McCord looks Harrison's way, but Kobe, I think it was Kobe, was able to get his hands in and make that play. And I thought, man, he had a real shot at a pick on that one. Which is, again, another part of what I know you guys rep as part of that turnover circuit. And thinking back to just how much of a momentum shift that was when Philip Dunham got the interception in the first half. We're able to turn that into our only points of the game. You think, man, is that something you talk about with Kobe at that time? Like, hey, we love the PD, we love the pass deflection, right? man, you get your hands on that thing. That's a game-changing play.
That's right. We thought we dropped 2 in the game. Lewis Moore had 1 in the 2-minute drill before the half, that is on 3rd down before they kick the field goal, but he's got a chance he's got 2 hands on the ball. He slips that route. It's a very similar situation. It's not an easy play to make. Those guys were in the proper position, but it's a play that we need to make. And that's, you reward them and call out the good, and then you call up, to the level of the standard that you want, anything that could be a little bit better.
Yeah, no question. And then the last play that I thought was really cool to watch was it looked like it was a cover 2 look from the defense. Nick Toomer's widening Marvin Harrison so much so that he steps out of bounds on what could have been a touchdown. Right. And again, that's a technique thing, right? I mean, that's something that's part of the design, and you may look at it as an error on Harrison for stepping out of bounds, but that was forced.
That's right. That's right. It was a great job by Nick. Yeah, I mean, that his job is to obviously try to funnel a guy inside to a safety, but if a guy continues to widen, then you got to continue to widen them. You have to just place guys in that. And it was a good heads up job by Nick.
Love that. And, for you, I know you've had a lot of experience calling plays in your career and now back doing it. How would you describe the art of play calling on the defensive side of the ball in the mix of, preparation, of analytics, and then of just gut feel?
That's right. Yeah, it is. It's a ton of prep. But that only takes you so far, right? The reason it is an art and not probably a science is it's not just the preparation. Then you've got to be able to flow and adjust as a game goes, and I credit some of the guys that have been around and continue to be around that are really good in-game adjusters. And to me, that's, comes with experience of play calling, and better now than I was in the past from adjusting, and is not going to go to script, right?
Right.
So if you have a certain script in your mind, you can lock it to a game plan that might not be functional, right? Can you adjust to what you get? Especially in early games, and I thought our guys did a really good job, our staff on the sidelines, of communicating from top down, from, in the box down and vice versa, and getting information to players to be able to adjust and apply in the game.
And last one here, Coach. I know you got to get off to continue prep for this week on Friday night as we take on Indiana State from the Rock, 7 p.m. Eastern time kick. Is I would love for fans to be able to get the chance to know you a little bit better. The how and the why is always important to me, right? Yeah. Why do you do this? And then who's responsible, for helping you get to this point? How do you get to the point where you're a defensive coordinator, a Power 5 institution? How does that kind of register for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. Why do I do it? I love a couple of things. One, I love football, but even more importantly, a lot of coaches in my life were a huge influence on me. And this is my way to pay it back. So I'm passionate about helping young men accomplish their dreams and goals in life and in football. And to me, it's not about, I tell them all the time, I'm a behind the scenes guy. It's not about me. It's about those players and them going and shining on game day and shining the rest of their life. So why do I do it? It's about giving back, and it's about the people and being a mentor. And a servant leader. I think it's important to pour into guys. And I take a lot of pride in that from that standpoint. And I like teaching too. I like teaching the game, and I think can help guys be the best version of themselves as a football player and a man. And then I've had a lot of guys that have helped me along the way, from guys that I played for, and Meade Clendaniel, who I played for, was a defense coordinator. Davidson is still a great friend of mine and a big influence in my life. And then I worked for Fred Goldsmith and Mike Houston at Lenore Rhine, small Division II school. And then David Cutcliffe and Jim Knowles at Duke were huge mentors in my life. Then obviously the experience that I was with Jim again at Ohio State and working under Coach Day, who, in 1 year helped shape, my philosophies, and then being with Coach Allen now, so those are guys kind of my path along the way from a mentor standpoint that have, helped shape me. And I've been fortunate to be around a bunch of smart, good humans, and that's, what I'm most appreciative. Every stop that I've been, it's a guy that's done it the right way. And I'm really appreciative of that, of learning the right way to do it, the right way to win, the right way to mold young men, and hopefully be able to apply that forward.
Well, we're really lucky to have you here at Indiana. Really fortunate to have your wits and your ingenuity and your command of this defense, and can't wait to see what you guys come up with here this weekend for Indiana State and beyond this season. Best of luck this week as prep continues, and look forward to catching up again Friday at the Rock. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Red. Appreciate you.
All right, and that's going to do it for episode 2 of Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, proud sponsor of IU Football. Reminder to visit your local Central Indiana Ford dealer today. Thanks again, everybody, and we'll catch you next week.